Hi ladies, it's Julie here, your Seint makeup artist, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about how to apply your new Seint palette. Now, if you are starting out with a starter palette, which is a number 4, you're going to have 4 tins in these slots. I'm showing you out of my palette, which I started with a smaller palette. Now I have more colors because I've fallen in love with all the Seint colors. But I'm going to show you the cheetah method. Now this is very basic, and if you started out with a number 4 palette, you probably started out with a brightening color, a main color, a contour color, perhaps an illuminator, and perhaps a lip and cheek. This tends to be some of the starter colors. Now you're going to notice I have 3 highlight colors. That's because I have terrible dark circles under my eyes. So if I met with you, or if you did a color match and I saw lots of dark circles, maybe melasma or a lot of rosacea, redness, broken capillaries, sun damage, I may have recommended 3 different highlight colors. All right, so take that in consideration as I'm doing this. But if you started out with a number 4, you've got 4 products in your palette. So for me, or for someone who's got a lot of damage in their face, you know, or needs a lot of correcting, you're going to, this is the cheetah method, you're gonna maybe take one of your highlights, and I would have marked it as a color corrector, and you put it on any spots. Right now I've got a little red splotch on my cheek. I've got some dark spots, some dark damage down here, and I've got one spot here, okay? If you don't have those sorts of things on your face, then I wouldn't have recommended something to correct color. Maybe I recommended a brightening highlight. And I'm going to wipe off my finger here. So then you would take the brightener and you would brighten. Maybe I told you to use a brightener under your eyes. I often will tell women to take a brightener and put it right down their nose. This is a common place for just lifting, brightening, and then of course right here in the corner. Okay, that's common. You might also brighten right here. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, then you take your main shade. Mine happens to be sandy right now. It's just a little bit dark, but it does pretty good. Okay, and then I put that on a few other places on my face. You'll notice you don't really see it much because it blends right into my color. That's what you want. All right, I usually put some right here on my lids too as like a base for my shadow. Although I've got my eyes on already. Ooh. Okay, contour. Let's talk contour. Contour. Follow. This is where your cheekbone is. I may recommend, depending upon if you're older or you have a long face, I may recommend that you take that right there on your cheekbone. I may have recommended that you put it down so that you can make your face look longer. I said that wrong. If you have a long face or if you have an older face, typically the contour goes up higher, okay? Then a couple of other strategic places, if you got contour in your palette, right along your jawline, right here on your forehead, okay? Perhaps along your nose. I'm not gonna do along my nose. I don't really have a wider nose. Okay, that is your palette. Then you go to work with your 3D brush. And if you've got a 3D brush, you're gonna use that to blend it in. Now, I'm using the cheetah method, so I'm not using this end of my brush to apply it. Experiment, ladies. Experiment and see what you like the best. Maybe you get too heavy-handed when you use the brush. Maybe you get less product on when you use your finger. But this is your basic starter brush. And then as you fall in love with Seint, as most women do, you're probably gonna wanna get a few more brushes. Okay, you notice I'm just kind of stippling the product, stippling it, and up here in your forehead, you kind of have to blend it in a little bit. These brushes are good. They're really firm. You're gonna wanna wash them once a week with our spray brush cleaner. Spritz the brush cleaner on the end of it and wash those babies up. Okay. Make sure you hit this contour down here. And then, if you don't have any brows, I would have told you to take that contour and fill in those brows. Ladies, look at my Facebook posts, look at the pictures, look at the before and after pictures. You may feel like doing your brows is too much, but it makes a difference in framing your face, okay? It really makes a difference. Okay, a couple more things. If you got lip and cheeks in your, you can use your finger. If you got that in your palette, don't be afraid of the color. These products blend in and they soak into your skin. So when you first look at how bright that looks, right? But it's, as it sits for about 5 minutes, it starts to blend into your skin. And so, don't be afraid to put a little bit more on, okay? And perhaps you got an illuminator in your palette. If you did, take that beautiful illuminator. Maybe you got powder illuminator. If you were a little more oily, that might be better for you. But just a little bit here, high on your cheeks, a little dab up here to highlight your brow. Okay, might like to put a little on your nose. I need to fix my hair and I'll do an after photo here. But this is your palette. You may have started with more colors. You may have started with just 4. Simple, simple, simple. Experiment. Reach out if you have questions, and I am happy to answer those. Do remember this. It's summer when I'm taping this, and so the humidity is starting in Iowa. You will need less moisturizer, and especially if you have a little more oily skin or combo skin, make sure that you wear your sunblock, but you don't need very much moisturizer because this is moisturizing, and it can be heavy coverage or it can be really light. It all depends on the application, and some of my girls are liking to use this bronzer and powder brush. I think it's blush and bronzer brush actually, and it'll give you a really light coverage. Experiment, reach out with questions, enjoy your new palette.